Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of Jeremy's coronavirus quarantine update video vlog, which I think I'm going to do quite often, probably just daily at this stage, just to keep myself sane, because I'll be working from home and I'll also just be living at home, and I like people. And I've been off social media for a few weeks. Largely to do with, at the start of the year, my dad went off political podcasts to stay sane during the American election year, and I was like, I don't need to do that, I'm cool. And then after Super Tuesday, I was definitely like, no, I should probably give it a break. And then also Facebook for me has become quite toxic for certain reasons, so I thought I'd just take a step out. And so this is a way of like interacting with the world on my own terms without getting subtly or not subtly enticed into arguments, which I love but aren't so good for my mental health sometimes. And so I thought I would do this every day for a few minutes to talk about books I've been reading, games I've been playing, thoughts I've been thinking, and stories. And hopefully Camilla will be involved at some stage, and maybe I can do some of them in Lithuanian to stretch that part of my brain as well. But it just fascinates me, this medium, because I've never been very good at this medium. I like photography because it's still and you don't have to think about the movement so much, you just have to think about the moment. And then podcasting is something I've been in and out of for quite some time, and I find that attractive because you don't have to think about sound and lighting, you just have to think of the sound and the story, whereas video is like all three. So I changed my shirt because that's visually more appealing than what I was wearing this morning, and I think also to keep myself engaged certain ways, like I'll be working on my computer from home just over there, so I was like, I never have to wear anything but these track pants, but I think I'll actually dress for work. And so that'll be interesting too. But, so to start, I really want to talk about books, because at the start of the year, I knew that I would be taking buses more often, so I'd have more time to read because I haven't been reading so much. And then looking at the Goodreads, like, this is how much I'm going to read this year, I was like, oh yeah, if I set that, that'll make me competitive. So I set it at 14, and then started looking for short English classic novels, because for 10 years I've been mainly just reading thick philosophy, theology, learning, background and communication theory, and I haven't been reading so much like fiction. And so I've been reading all this short English classic fiction that I've never touched. Even in like English class in high school, I never touched all this stuff. So it's like Alice in Wonderland and Misanthrope, and I just did one of the Sherlock Holmes, and then yesterday I did it's the word that means like you change, anyway, and I just started The Stranger today. It's been so fascinating reading all these really famous stories that you know the story but you've never actually read it. And so even Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is so well written, and there's some pages that I was just like, I want to read this page for like ever, because it's so beautiful and they use words so well. And even the first book that I started this all with, The Man and the Sea by Hemingway maybe, he just describes the ocean and that fishing village that it's set in so beautifully. So it's not even about the story, it's about how they paint with words. And so I've been fascinated by that. And then last night I finally got Camilla's Kindle to work after so many different attempts, because it's older than you needed to update it so it could go on the internet properly, and she just hadn't done that. And I tried like a year ago to try and do it, but I failed. And so last night it was simply the cable that we were using, and so I found this other cable that we'd never tried and put it in, and then it instantly worked. So now we have that to read. And so I'm reading even more English fiction on that. And then, of course, on top of classic fictions, I've gotten back into fantasy novels. And I've never read Joe Abercrombie, but so far he's so good, and that'll help me Dungeon Master D&D a lot better, because my narrative skills have gotten pretty rusty because I've just been reading non-fiction, and so I think that'll get better. And it's funny how I've stuck to like 3 or 4 authors. Like I read all the George R. R. Martins, I read Robin Hobb quite a lot, and then a few others. But breaking out of that, you get all of these different flavours and different styles from the different authors, and it's been so good. So I've been enjoying that. But then last night, I made a whole bunch of cookies, and then instantly realised that it'll just be me and Camilla eating these, because I was going to take them to work, but that's fine. So I'll be eating that, and you know what they say, when you're in quarantine, just put on a lot of weight. Then games. July last year I had a whole month in Klaipėda, which is the port city in Lithuania, to work as I've forgotten what my title was, but it was basically to help the dorm rooms of this educational course function. And so I was on for 3 days and then off for a few days, and so I was like, well, I have all this time spare, so I'll just play computer games. So I started playing my first MMO, which is RuneScape, which is super old school, but I was like, I'll give it a go, because I avoided online RPGs because they're a big waste of time, but they're also so fun. And so I've been playing that on and off, which has been fascinating to see how that works in the world. And then I've been playing Civilization again, and then we've started playing more board games, and there's this one called Codenames Pictures maybe, and it uses these really well designed like art cards. You do a box of 5 by 4, and then it's supposed to be in teams, but we always play it in 3s because we don't have so many friends that come over to play, and now we're quarantined. But you have to like describe certain things to get them to guess certain things, and it's a similar mechanic to lots of different games, but just with like, we really like the cards, and so that's been fun. And then this Saturday we were supposed to play Dungeons and Dragons, but 2 or 3 of the players were like, Corona, and so our DM figured out how to run us through this online app. And it was so funny because she was new to the app and we were new to the app, but the story still progressed really well. And even though we couldn't see facial expressions, and it was easy to get distracted because you were just sitting in your own house and online, but it's still so fun. So hopefully we can play Dungeons and Dragons more in the quarantine, because that's nice. And then figuring out how to stay socially interactive. And so even this morning, one of my friends WhatsApp video chatted me because she wanted her son to say some stuff to me, but then he got shy, and so I watched them like run around the house and then feed their bunnies and talk about Corona, yeah, but other stuff. And so I think more of that, like getting in touch with people that I miss in Australia, or just anyone, because I won't be able to reach out to them anyway, and seeing how social we can be even though we're in quarantine. Yeah, and the quarantine is fascinating to me because I live so far away from people who have known me the most until recently, and yet I don't contact them much. And so now that I'm forced to stay inside, or not forced, just asked, I suppose, advised, I'm now thinking, oh, I should talk to all these people that I love that I never talk to. But it's weird that I didn't think that as much because I'm so busy going out. Well, I'm not really busy. And then yesterday, we got this in the mail. It's like a coconut sponge for no waste type dealies. And we also got, I joined a tea club called Brew, the Gourmet Tea Club. Oh, is that back front? Who cares? And they send 3 surprise teas and then 1 like new tea that they've just got back from. So they just got back from a place in Tanzania. And so they give you like a taster of the new tea and then 3 of their normal teas. And so we got a rooibos, we got a oolong that has like orange overtones, and then we got a green and white blend, which is pretty tasty. So that's been fun, tasting all these new tastes. And like for Lent, we gave up alcohol, and so instead of tasting tasty beers quite often, we're tasting nice teas and coffees. Like we've got a few different beans currently, and we made trail mix the other day, and it's so tasty. So we've got some good tastes going, which is nice. And even a few days ago, Camilla's sister rang up and was like, do you like flowers? Do you want some flowers right now? Because a flower store down the road was having to close up because of the quarantine, so they were just like selling all of these flowers. And so then out of nowhere we got a whole bunch of flowers, which I love. Flowers are pretty good. I'm also thinking I'll do more art because, so I broke one of the bones in here, ice skating, a month ago. And so I haven't been able to type or write or draw or do anything like super normal fun. And now it's getting better. Like it still aches if I use it too much. Ugh, shouldn't have done that. So hopefully I can start doing art again soon. And that's me. Episode 1. And hopefully I'll have more props. I didn't have so much props this time. Just the Kindle and the book and the cookies. And hopefully this wasn't extremely boring. And please interact. Send me your own video podcasts or just Skype me. We can hang out. And see you later, champs.